What's up, Cowboys Nation? We're back with another exclusive, and today's episode dives into two stories that could shape the Cowboys' 2025 season in a big way. Before we jump in, let me remind you, this team is working day and night to improve. From the front office to the practice field, the Cowboys are making moves, adjusting, evaluating, and pushing every button they can to bring better results to the field. The process never stops. And if you're someone who appreciates that grind, if you're rooting for this team to finally put it all together, then do me a favor. Hit that like button right now, because we've got some real Cowboys news to unpack. Let's start with a name you probably didn't expect to hear linked to Dallas, Bout. Yes, you heard that right. The Dallas Cowboys could be looking to swing another deal with the New England Patriots, and this time, it's not about a backup quarterback. It's about a wide receiver, a young, explosive one, who just might be the missing piece in Dallas's passing attack. Bout, the 23-year-old wideout from LSU, had something of a breakout year in 2024 for New England. He finished the season with 43 receptions, 589 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Not mind-blowing numbers, but more than solid for a 6th-round pick, and definitely enough to turn some heads around the league. And guess who noticed? That's right, the Dallas Cowboys. Now let's talk about why this matters. First, the Cowboys. Receiver room still has some serious questions beyond CeeDee Lamb. Sure, we've got guys like Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, and even rookies fighting for reps. But do we really have a true WR2 who can take pressure off CeeDee? We all saw what happened in the playoff loss to Green Bay. Lamb was bracketed all game long. He couldn't break free, and no one else stepped up consistently. That has to change if we want to contend. Enter Bout, who, according to Brian Hines of Pat's Pulpit, is the exact kind of guy who could be available in trade and fits what Dallas needs. Here's what Hines said. Bout could profile as a low-volume X receiver in Josh McDaniels' offense, but the production last year, at 23 years old, would likely lead to him having the most trade value of the bubble players. One team that would make plenty of sense as a potential partner for Bout, the Dallas Cowboys. So let's think about this. A low-risk trade, possibly for a late-round pick, for a guy with youth, production, and upside? That's the kind of value move that great front offices make. Now you're probably wondering, why would New England give up on a young receiver after a breakout year? Well, here's the thing. The Patriots completely retooled their offense. This offseason, they brought in Stephon Diggs, they signed Mac Hollins, and just a few weeks ago, they used a 3rd-round pick on wideout Kyle Williams in the 2025 draft. That's 3 new receivers added to the depth chart in just a few months. And with a new coaching staff taking over in Foxborough, no one's spot is guaranteed, not even a productive guy like Bout. So while the Patriots might not want to lose him, they may have no choice but to trim the depth chart. And if the Cowboys come calling with a reasonable offer, say a 6th-round pick, that could be enough to get it done. Now let's pause for a second, because we need to keep it real with each other. Is Bout the answer at WR2? Maybe, maybe not. He's got speed, he's got route running skills, and he's clearly made some plays at the pro level. But is he ready to step into a major role, especially opposite one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL? That's a big question. But here's the real story. Brian Schottenheimer and this front office might believe he is. If that's the case, this isn't just a depth move. This is about giving Dak another option, another tool in a box that's slowly being rebuilt after last year's flameout. And speaking of Schottenheimer, now let's shift gears, because this is just as important. The Cowboys' new head coach isn't just making personnel moves. He's making culture moves, and he's doing it in ways that go beyond the playbook. Over the weekend at rookie minicamp, insiders reported a subtle but meaningful change in the Cowboys' locker room. Schottenheimer rearranged the seating chart. Now, you might be thinking, so what? But here's what makes it interesting. Players didn't get to choose where they sit anymore. One example, Micah Parsons is now seated closer to Dak Prescott, and it's not just a coincidence. Here's what Schottenheimer told reporters. We moved some guys around this year. I did, along with the help of the staff, and again, they don't really get a say in that. but there's a method to the madness. When the guys went into the team room for the first time, I made them all stand up after they sat down. I had them move seats. Why? It's a new year. It's 2025. That quote tells you everything you need to know. This isn't just about changing the seating chart. This is about changing the mindset, about sending a message. Things are different now, and honestly, I love it, because for too long, the Cowboys have been just good enough to win 12 games, good enough to make the playoffs, but not good enough to get over the hump. That's where culture comes in, and that's exactly where Schottenheimer is focusing. He even said, when you start a new year, you do something different, you change something up. So yeah, it's something that's talked about, thought about, but there's a method to the madness at times. You can feel the shift happening. He's not trying to be someone else. He's not changing who he is, but he's doing what great leaders do, making people uncomfortable in the right way, breaking old habits, starting fresh. So, let's bring this all together. You've got a team that's being proactive in trade talks, a front office that's scanning the league for young, affordable talent like Bout. You've got a new head coach who's serious about building a culture, not just running plays. And you've got players being moved around, physically and emotionally, to get ready for a new kind of season. The Cowboys may not be favorites yet. They may not have solved every problem, but what's clear is this: they are doing things differently. And as fans, that's all we can ask for right now. As we enter 2025, one of the more underrated position battles on this roster is happening. At tight end, we've got Jake Ferguson, who's entering the final year of his rookie deal and has been solid, not spectacular, but dependable. Then you've got Luke Schoonmaker, a former second-round pick who, let's be honest, hasn't quite lived up to expectations yet. Just 35 catches in 34 games? That's not what you want from a day 2 pick. Beyond them, the depth chart gets murky. Names like Princeton Fant, Tyler Neville, Brevin Spanford, and John Stevens Jr. are all in the mix, but none have separated themselves, which brings us to the wild card, Rivaldo Farweather. Who is Rivaldo Farweather? Now, if you're not familiar with Farweather, let's break it down. He's a 6'3", 242-pound tight end with massive 34.5-inch arms and a ridiculous 83 5/8-inch wingspan. That's elite length for a skill position player. In fact, according to Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic, Farweather was one of the longest skill guys in the entire 2025 draft class. Now here's the thing, he didn't hear his name called during the 7 rounds of the NFL draft, but don't let that fool you. The traits are there, and Cowboys scouts noticed. Farweather started his college career at Florida International, where he flashed potential but played on a struggling team. He then transferred to Auburn, where he continued to develop, but again, didn't post eye-popping numbers, never more than 500 receiving yards in a season. So why are we talking about him? Because traits matter, especially when you're trying to develop a player for the future, and Farweather is dripping with them. What makes Farweather intriguing? Baumgardner says it best. He plays with natural leverage as a blocker and has the length to be a factor in the run game and pass protection should his technique improve. That's a big deal. Because in today's NFL, the tight end position is about more than just running routes. You've got to protect, you've got to seal the edge, you've got to do the dirty work, especially in Mike McCarthy's system, where balance between pass and run is key. Farweather has that kind of upside. A developmental piece who can contribute in multiple ways if the coaching staff molds him right. And let's be honest, Cowboys Nation, we've seen this story before. Cowboys' history with UDFA's the Dallas Cowboys have a long history of finding undrafted free agent gems. Tony Romo, undrafted Cole Beasley, undrafted Lael Collins, undrafted Dan Bailey, undrafted. And now there. Hoping Rivaldo Farweather can be the next name added to that list. He's raw, no doubt, but you can't teach wingspan. You can't coach length. You can't manufacture physical traits like the ones this guy brings to the table, and when you're talking about tight ends, especially in a system where the second and third options are still uncertain, that matters. What's the opportunity? In Dallas, let's talk opportunity. This is where it gets interesting. Because not only does Farweather have upside, but he's walking into a situation that's wide open. Jake Ferguson may be TE1 for now, but as we mentioned earlier, he's heading into the final year of his rookie deal. There's no long-term commitment there. If he doesn't take a big step forward this season, the Cowboys could easily move on. Luke Schoonmaker, still trying to prove he belongs, and the rest of the room is filled with unproven talent, guys who might flash here and there but haven't earned a spot yet. So here comes Farweather. Big body, long wingspan, willing blocker. Intriguing athlete. And maybe, just maybe, the right coaching staff can unlock him. He doesn't need to become Travis Kelce. He just needs to carve out a role. If he can be a matchup problem in the red zone or help in pass protection on critical downs, that's enough to land a roster spot. And once you're on the 53, anything can happen. A fit in the Brian Schottenheimer offense? Let's not forget, we've got a new sheriff in town. Brian Schottenheimer is the head coach now, and while he's keeping some continuity with the offensive scheme, he's also making changes. He's already talked about wanting a more balanced attack. He wants versatility. He wants smart football. Players who can line up in multiple spots and do their job without being liabilities. Farweather might just be that kind of player. Think about it. You bring in a guy with elite length, good leverage, and a willingness to block. That's the kind of player who can help chip the edge, seal linebackers, and even catch sneaky seam routes when defenses forget about him. He doesn't have to be the star. He just needs to be useful. And if he flashes in camp and the preseason, you better believe this coaching staff will take a long, hard look at keeping him on the final roster. So now it's your turn, Cowboys Nation. Should the Cowboys trade for Bout? Do you think he could help take pressure off CeeDee Lamb? And how do you feel about Brian Schottenheimer's changes so far? Do you think this locker room shuffle is the start of something real? Or are we reading too much into it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think about where this team is headed. And hey, if you like this video, if you're loving these insider updates and want more exclusive coverage on all things Cowboys, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single move this team makes. We're going to keep our eyes locked on this Bout situation and everything Schottenheimer's cooking up in Dallas. Until next time, Cowboys Nation, let's ride. And as always, go Cowboys.